Through 1890, 100% of your contribution goes to the student athletes. So go to 1890nebraska.com, choose your sport, become a member, and help the Huskers recruit and retain the best. Go Big Red.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
If the week's been too hectic to even think about dinner, or your family can't handle one more night of leftovers, then it's time to let Hog Wild do the cooking. Hog Wild's family packs are one heck of a good deal for a complete barbecue meal loaded with all the smoked meats, tasty sides, buns, and sauces you need to feed your family. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
The need in our community, if you just look at the numbers, it's frightening. We're serving over 1,000 kids every day. With the passion of our people, I really feel like our potential to be of even greater service to kids and families who are struggling is just unlimited. But in order to have the greatest impact, we need all the help we can get from the community.
NEBCO is hiring CDL drivers for ready-mixed concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. NEBCO offers great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and they pay for CDL training. Apply today and start your new career with a $2,500 hiring bonus. From NEBCO's beginning in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
Sandhills Global is hiring. With their fast-paced, growing culture, they have hundreds of new openings in sales, marketing, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Full-time roles offer a 4.5-day work week, along with flexible internships in most areas. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Find your fit today at www.sandhills.jobs.
This is Coach Bill Bush. You all know my passion for Nebraska. Having coached all over the country, I can honestly say there is no place like Nebraska. You know where there's also no place like? Midwest Bank. Midwest Bank has proudly served Nebraska for over 70 years, and they're located in 9 different communities. Midwest Bank is ready, willing, and able to meet all your personal, business, and agriculture needs. Your community, your bank, and mine, Midwest Bank. Find out more at Midwest Bank. Member FDIC.
Your business runs like a well-oiled machine. It's important that your actual machines do too. Stern is here to make sure you don't have to worry about that. They provide solutions for heavy equipment and automotive fuels, lubricants, and equipment guard options. And with Stern's commitment to customer service for the past 40 years, you know you have a partner to help support your operations for years to come. Contact Roger at Stern Company by calling 1-800-477-2744 or visit them online at stern.co. Stern Company, where problems meet solvers.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with only 4 Lincoln locations. Guess what?
What?
There's 5 Lincoln locations now. Oh my gosh. That's 25% more Lincoln locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? Feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11th, located right alongside 93.7 The Ticket Studios, 1040 O Street.
This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, first and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 5-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome everybody into Adam Carriker on The Ticket. Ladies and gentlemen, no, it is not a mirage. Yes, it is real. I am live in studio in The Ticket. We have not had this since the Michigan game when my son Jacob sat right there, educated me all hour, dropped the knowledge, and I learned from him. But today I am joined by my good buddy, I always call him my man Jake, the owner of the station, Derek Pearson. We call him DP. And real quick, before we light this candle, dive into the topics of today, I want to talk a little bit about the quarterbacks. What can we expect at the spring game? They're not going to be live, but everybody else is going to be live. Okay, Matt Rule wants to play football. It's going to be a regular football game. I love that. He wants to play it like a regular football game. We're going to chat about what can we expect from the quarterbacks. Also, some potential surprise players. Maybe people are under the radar at the moment. We're going to get into that. Light this candle, but real quick, I want to give a shout out to Bonzel Pool and Spas. You can check them out at bonzel.com. They are putting in my family's pool, which is the reason I shout them out. Jeff is a good dude. Check them out, ladies and gentlemen. But I want to bring on my man Jake and DP. How you fellas doing?
First of all, welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And let's not bury the lead in what you just said.
All right.
You're having pool and spas put in where, sir?
So
where?
All right. So we're moving to Lincoln. The family and I are moving back to Lincoln, so we're pretty pumped.
What?
So we're pretty pumped, pretty excited.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Okay, so breaking news. Adam Carriker is moving to Lincoln, Nebraska, and that means that some of these appearances, some of these shows are now going to be live at the Ticket.
That is correct. And on site at special locations from time to time.
Oh, boy. Okay. All righty then. We're going to shout at everybody that's helping you move to Lincoln. That is a win-win for Husker Nation. Well done.
For sure. So when we were moving, I got 3 younger kids. And when we told them, we made this decision in January. Okay. The 3 younger kids started jumping up and down. All right. And they were chanting, the 4 youngers, actually. My oldest, Jacob. Now, when we left the Michigan game and went back to where we currently are, he spent the entire plane ride home trying to convince me to move the family to Nebraska, which didn't take a lot of convincing, by the way. So I knew he'd be on board. Our second oldest child is a little bit more quiet, a little bit more introverted. So she's coming around, though. The youngest 4 were chanting. The oldest daughter's coming around. But Jacob's reaction was hilarious. Knowing that he wanted to come to Nebraska and he couldn't wait to come to Lincoln, his first reaction as he sat on the couch was, but I have a girlfriend. And I was like, we're not basing life off of an 8th grade romance, my friend.
Yeah.
But they've all come around. They're pretty pumped. And yeah, so one of the things that my 2 oldest did ask for, okay, first world problems, first world blessings. Dad, could we have a pool? So I reached out to several pool installation companies and folks who do a wonderful job in the area, and Bonzel Pools. Jeff was incredibly responsive. And one of my favorite things he said is, Adam, I just want to do a good job for your family. Like, that sold me right then and there. So bonzelpool.com, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, what other services are you in need of for this move to Lincoln? We need to make this as smooth and as uncomplicated as humanly possible.
All right. I didn't know we were going to talk about this today.
No. You'll figure out that whenever DP's around, all bets are off. Whatever,
I like it.
Whatever programming you had in order is out the window.
I like it.
So what do you need? So moving company, cleaning services. What are we talking about here?
So actually, we negotiated so that they would leave their personal property, and like 95% of it, the people that own the house. And we did the same with our house where we're currently at. So not a whole lot of actual stuff being moved.
Good.
But when I go to a gym, I am intense. I'm not the most friendly person to be around when the earbuds are in.
Yep.
People tend to take that the wrong way. No, this is what I did for a living for a long time. And it's just old habits. I don't get to hit people without getting put in jail anymore, Jake.
That's right.
So me going to the gym is me getting it out. So I've always wanted to have my own gym. First of all, I sweat like insane, and I can only wipe down the equipment so much. So I'm looking for some gym equipment for a home gym. Perfect. If anybody's interested in helping out with that. Again, these are first world problems and blessings.
Yeah.
Okay, but if people want to partner with the show here,
there we go.
That's a way to do it.
There we go.
Okay. And where we are is pretty private.
Okay.
But I like uber privacy. I like to walk out my back. I've never had it since I was a kid. I walk out my back and I would try to find a spot where I could go anywhere around the house, the back, the front, the side, where people couldn't see where I was at. I've never had that. Okay. And there's worse things in life. I've always wanted that. So I'm looking to put some big trees in on one side of our house. It's the only side where people can see, and I'm looking for some privacy. That's really it. Other than that, man, I'm just excited.
And
to
how
back
do
to
you want
Lincoln.
them to reach out for those folks that are out there? Because they're out there listening. So how do you want them to reach out?
Honestly,
Yeah.
I would defer to you on that.
Okay.
As far as the ticket, what advice would you give them?
They can reach out to Jake Sorensen, myself. You can find Adam Carriker on the several spaces. You can even ask Bach. Like, I'm pretty sure people will tell Bach the rest of the day, hey, I was listening to you and Carriker, and I think I can help. So
Yeah,
all
that'd
of
be
that,
awesome.
all of that is in play.
Okay. Hit us up on Twitter, on the website, I
Yeah.
assume.
Yeah.
Jake, do you speak?
Yes, I
Okay,
speak
just making
so
sure.
once in a while.
Yeah.
I know you've been talking for 2 hours. I just wanted you to feel included.
So rules of the game that if Bach is in the room and you really want to get Bach excited,
Okay.
he is a shared member of the wrestling brotherhood. Bach will go toe to toe. He scored an interview with Dave Penzer, telling a great story about Penzer taking some real tough shots
All right.
from Kurt Angle.
Okay.
And
I think I heard that actually.
Yeah.
I heard that.
Yeah.
I did.
He laid it in pretty thick by the
So-
pictures.
We have done. You've been the man behind the scenes while I'm flapping my gums. You've joined me on show. We've met. How have you never mentioned this?
I don't know. I've been building up enough of I do a nuclear heat show. I was going to invite you at some point. I've tried to build that up. Now that I have Penzer on, maybe I can get you on as well.
Anytime.
Oh, man.
Dude, we got to talk wrestling more often.
Absolutely. When you do the Goldberg interviews, I do the social media and stuff for it too. It's a lot of fun because I love, Bill Goldberg, WCW is undefeated streak and all that. That was right in my growing up first introduction to wrestling.
So what I love about Bill, so he's my favorite wrestler growing up. Most people who've heard me talk about wrestling in the past know that. You've got the obvious D-line connection. Okay, he played for the Bulldogs, the Falcons. You just watched him. It looked real. I will never forget, I played with a guy named Jail. He had 35 tackles in one game, senior high school, but we're on the way to a game. And he goes, pro wrestling is fake. And then he pauses and he goes, but Goldberg, that's real. That one guy is real. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, but I'll roll with it. Okay, JL. But so what I love after I got to know Goldberg, because when I had the show in DC with Chuck Carroll, Fourth and Pain, you ever have nothing better to do with your life, ladies and gentlemen, go Google Fourth and Pain. You'll see me with a different sized individual, and we gave each other so much crap, and it was phenomenal. The audio production was okay. The visual was even less, but it's somewhat entertaining. I don't know if it was any good, but we convinced Goldberg to come on every week for 1 year, talk football, do NFL predictions, 17 straight weeks. He only missed 1 week, and that was the week my daughter Trinity was born. Other than that, he came on every week. And what I learned is he gets kind of a bad rap sometimes by some folks. What I love is he's just himself. He's honest. And sometimes that can rub people the wrong way. He said things to me that I was like, wow, I could easily be offended by that in the past. But I don't take offense because it's just him being him. So even when I interviewed him last week, I said, what's your most memorable match? I don't know if you remember his response. He goes, we got to be more specific. Anybody else would have said, well, give me a minute to think about it. No, he's just blunt to the point. And I could have been like, well, let me tell you, Goldberg, I can be more specific, but that's just him. And then he gave, what did he say? The Hulk Hogan match, which I've heard him say before. And I remember watching that match in the Georgia Dome as a kid. And then he said I think it was the Falcons actually got involved in that match a little bit, if I remember right. So that's one of the things I love about him, and I know he gets a bad rap. I don't freaking care. Even his AEW comments, you might not like him, but that's his truth.
Yeah.
He's going to speak his truth.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
Right. Best pro football player turned pro wrestler.
Well, is it going to sound like I'm full of crap if I say Goldberg? Because that's the first name that pops into my head.
Right.
It's Bill Goldberg.
It's the space, right? Because a lot of guys transition. I'm old school in that guys like Ernie Ladd, who again dominated right down the road with the Chiefs. Guys like Freilich, who stuck their toe in the pool and got to do that. Wahoo McDaniel, who was not only a lineman but was a kicker, for crying out loud. Like, there's some guys.
Steve McMichael
at Mongo for what he did, right? For what there are some guys, and I think it's a big part. I think it's a big part of what wrestling has done, because it gave people a lot of chance to kind of live a different life.
There's a lot of college football players that turned wrestling. John Cena, Steve Austin, obviously The Rock. I mean, there's a lot of college football players.
All of the Dusty was a college football player.
Yeah. Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt.
You forget Roman Reigns. Like we far too often we forget. Yeah.
All right,
my bad, Roman.
I'm going to mark out real quick. Okay. For those who don't know what a mark is, it's a wrestling fan that pretends things are a little too real. I'm going to mark out real quick. So when Roman Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins were in the Shield.
Yeah.
Okay. We were doing the Fourth and Pain show, Chuck and I. And I think they had just broken out like maybe 6 months earlier. So it was very early on. We got Roman on the show. Okay. First of all, okay, he goes, Adam, Carriker, Nebraska, right? And I was like, I hadn't done my research. I did not know that he played college football. I did not know he graduated the year after me. I was 06, he was 07. I had no idea. He goes, I watched you. And I was like, I just sat there in silence. Like I was so stunned. I was like, awesome. I had no idea you knew who I was. This is going to be great. So we chatted a little bit of football. But the thing I took away from that interview, I've never forgotten about. I said, what's your ultimate goal in this business? He goes, one day I want to be the man. Now you look at what he's done the past 4 years, okay, including not passing the baton, but helping Cody Rhodes finish the story. It turned out to be prophetically true. Freaking awesome.
Yeah,
Anyways.
and shame on us mentioning college football players who turned pro wrestler and not mentioning Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
Not mentioning The Rock, like we failed. Like we'd have to start the list there.
I will say this. I don't think he played college football, but Steve Borton Sting is from Omaha.
Yeah. We had a recent conversation about some of the DiBiase family, of course.
Yep.
That Baron von Raschke actually wrestled at Nebraska.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Baron von Raschke actually wrestled at the University of Nebraska.
All right.
So,
I believe Jack Swagger's from Omaha. Is that correct?
Yes,
I could be wrong.
Is that right?
There are folks from around.
I have to confirm that.
But you can't mention pro wrestling in Nebraska and not mention that one of the all-time greats actually lived in Nebraska. Gorgeous George.
I did not know that.
Actually lived
Awesome.
in Nebraska City and Omaha for parts of his life. So, yeah, Nebraska has a huge wrestling connection. That's why I keep bringing it up, because wrestling fans from across the state are connected in several different ways. And then the football side of it, guys who went on to play the sport. Bravo.
Absolutely. All right. So first of all, you have to tell me things like this. Like, I'm a big time wrestling fan, Adam. You got to keep me in the loop on this.
Yeah.
There could be a potential of maybe DP Jake and I doing a pro wrestling show at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Someday. That would be awesome. All right. We got the NFL draft last night. Now, I just listened to Vershawn, T. Farley, Jake talk about the draft. Did a phenomenal job. If you folks missed that, check it out on podcast platforms as well as YouTube. Let's talk about the spring game tomorrow. The quarterbacks. What are you expecting to see from these three quarterbacks, DP, Jake, whoever wants to go first?
I'll go first because I'll lay into it a little bit.
Well, yeah, and Matt Rules did say they're going to kind of air it out a little bit more so than the ground game. They know that what they've got in the ground game, and I think just for a format that's going to do well to entertain the folks. But yeah, I mean it's fascinating because I think Dylan and Dan Caitlin, you kind of think their first introduction to the Husker fans and playing out in front of the fans, but they've got a different style than Heinrich Haarberg does. Are they going to try to use that in any way? Obviously, the quarterbacks are non-contact, so it's going to be kind of hard to get Heinrich going in the ground game. So I expect them all to kind of be in passing mode. So it'll be exciting. What we've heard about Dylan leading up to the spring game, he's got an excellent command of the huddle. He's far beyond his years as far as maybe calling audibles or making adjustments at the line. So those details, especially pre-snap, is going to be intriguing. But I can't lie. I also want to see what I've heard is that Dylan looks different than the other quarterbacks. Dylan looks different than quarterbacks that we've seen at Nebraska as far as his development, his arm. So we'll see. I mean, I think the closest thing Nebraska's had, in fact, the last quarterback they had drafted was Tanner Lee. And so we'll see if Tanner Lee could make some NFL throws. I want to see if Dylan can make a few of them that wow the crowd tomorrow.
Before DP hops in, I know he's going to lay it in here a little bit. All right, a couple of things I know for a fact. I know the coaches at the university believe that Daniel Kaelin's an NFL quarterback one day. I know that for a fact. I also know they aren't crazy when people talk about the separation from Dylan and everyone else. Now, they didn't. I don't know if it's what they agree with or disagree with. I just know they're not crazy about it. Okay, I do know they think highly of Daniel Kaelin. He is an NFL quarterback in their opinion. Okay. And Haarberg is passing better than he probably ever has. Even when I talked about him early on and he wasn't in the meetings and he wasn't practicing as a quarterback and he digressed. Again, that's not really his fault. I've mentioned that before. I'm curious to see. I'm going to compare Dylan and Daniel directly to each other for obvious reasons. I am curious, though, to see. I love the fact that they're going to air it out. but I'm curious to see how Heinrich can throw because he's the one guy who also brings something to the table with his legs.
I'm in this lane that Nebraska as a program and as a culture is going through an identity crisis and a change.
Mm-hmm.
And you recognize it because, I don't know, you don't hear Georgia complain about having 2 NFL quarterbacks on their roster. You don't hear Alabama, Oklahoma. You don't hear it. You don't hear it because it's expected. Yeah. That's actually the standard, right? And why? The third guy who becomes the fan favorite because, those other 2 guys are elite. They're kind of set in their way. We're going to root for the guy who has to fight harder and maybe isn't as talented, but we're familiar with him. We know. I also, encircling the fact that you now have changed your quarterback room, means you have to change the most important things for that room. And I read an article yesterday talking about all eyes on the quarterbacks. Wrong. I'm an old school football head, and I don't care about the gunslingers because the gunslingers do gunslinger things. But what I know is, in a battle of the Great West, you better have somebody up front. My eyes tomorrow entirely are what are you going to do to protect those 2 NFL quarterbacks? You have talent that you haven't had. I'm paying attention to the big boys. 1, how you're going to defend them. 2, how you're going to protect them. 1, can you run the dang ball? I want to know. Listen, the best way to take pressure off of young, talented quarterbacks is to have a running game. So if you can't run the ball, it ain't going to matter because you're going to let people dogs free on your talented quarterback.
So let me push back a smidge.
Yep.
I agree with what you're saying. So the pushback isn't what you're saying. It's what Matt Rule's trying to see tomorrow. He has said, we're going to try to air it out because we want to see if we can pass because I think in his mind he knows they can run the ball. So tomorrow, are you still emphasizing the run game?
Show me.
Or do you want to see if they can actually execute a forward pass? I say that respectfully, kind of.
My impression based on scouts who have seen both of these young men throw the football tell me don't worry about them throwing the football. Tell me
True
how
freshman?
they're
True freshman?
Tell me how they
making the reads
because we know now, right? That
big crowds,
that different evolution. The evolution of young quarterbacks has changed in the last 8 years.
That's fair.
Different development, different quarterback camps, different quarterback scenarios where you're formed. Mm-hmm. And again, these are second generation folks who have been around it. So guess what? Yep. They've got some IQ that not all quarterbacks who come to Nebraska have. What I need to know is I have those 2, and I'm looking at my next year.
Mm-hmm.
I need to protect them. And the best way for me to protect them, give me some big silverbacks up front, then get me a bell cow behind it who can toe the work and get them out of tough situations, also that they can communicate with and can pass block. And then young quarterback's best friend. Big Adam Carriker looking dude, a tight end who can get into space, catch the ball, give a big target, catch the ball, get to the ground, get back to the huddle.
I'm glad he said tight end because everyone always thinks I was an old lineman if they didn't know I played football.
No.
Anyways, I digress.
No. I see you. I see you with an 8 on, and I'm fine with it.
I went to the preseason. I went to the season of the Playboy All-American thing going into 2006. Everybody there thought I was an offensive lineman. Mm-hmm. No disrespect to offensive linemen, but I was insulted because I'm way more athletic than that.
See?
I mean, come on now, guys.
See, you got to watch the movement.
So I am with you. In order to win football games, you got to run the ball, stop the run first. Okay. There aren't too many Steve Spurrier, Florida Gator type offenses. Okay. And they saw what happened in 95 when they couldn't stop the run or run the ball. Mm-hmm. But anyways, I am curious to see 2 freshmen, a sophomore won the quarterback for the Heisman Trophy for the first time ever in 2007. Think about how long college football has been around. Okay. Then a freshman won it, Johnny Manziel, in the early 2010s for the first time ever. At some point, there's going to be a true freshman because we also just had the first ever walk-on in Baker Mayfield. Okay, but my point is this. They're still 18-year-old kids. Mm-hmm. You still have no idea. Okay, me coming at you, okay? I'm not about half as fast as I used to be. But me coming at you, okay, can you make the read between the out, the cut, the post? Oh, by the way, what's the snap count? Can the lineman hear you? You got to put a guy in motion. Oh, you got the play action. Oh, you don't. There's no guy in motion. Wait, the shot clock. The play clock is already down. I'm 18 years old and I didn't sleep last night because my dorm roommate wouldn't shut up and he was studying until 5 a.m.
Or my girlfriend
like all these
texted me
things
with a
going
thing.
on.
I'm really mad
18-year-old
I can't
kid.
see you, right? We talk, you also pointed to a thing that if I'm playing quarterback against Adam Carriker, pressure is one thing, but your length and ability to get into space changes my throwing window.
That's true.
And that's what I want to see tomorrow. Like when you talk about young quarterbacks, can you move? I don't need you to pull down the ball and run for 15 yards. I need for you to be able to slide in pocket to get to a throwing window to hit that route on time in a very specific space in a spot. That's what I want to see. Your ability to manipulate the pocket, right? Can I get Carriker upfield so I can step up and make the throw? Or do I need to take another step in my drop to get it through Carriker's long arms and his huge meat hands, right? Those are things that you see in that space. So, Bach wants to throw it a break. Get us out of here.
Real quick, we're going to bring new Husker commit Tanner Bear on after the break.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to bring him on. We're going to chat with him real quick. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
Community means something different to everyone. But for me, it means cheering on those around you during the good times and helping them out during the tough times. I'm softball player Jordy Ball, and I've been blessed with the support of my friends, family, coaches, and community throughout my life. When looking for a bank to call home, it was easy to choose Midwest Bank. I never feel like just another customer, and they're proud to support their communities. They love what they do, and it shows. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank.
Hey Nebraska! Register today for the 40th annual Cornhusker State Games, taking place July 11th through the 21st in Lincoln, Omaha, and other Nebraska communities. The Cornhusker State Games features 70 sports for athletes of all ages and abilities. Price increases are approaching, so register early and save. For details, go to cornhuskerstategames.com. Rehydrate, replenish, refuel with Gatorade. Brought to you by Pepsi Cola of Lincoln, a proud partner of the Cornhusker State Games.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Power combo BOGO? Huh?
Yes, if you purchase an air conditioner, you receive a furnace completely free. At John Henry's, our professionals want to ensure you are comfortable in your home all year long, no matter what Nebraska has to throw at us. Call today to schedule your free estimate and learn more about the free furnace waiting for you. Give John Henry's a call today.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
Bagels and Joe is the perfect place for breakfast or lunch in April. Try their brand new cake batter cream cheese on any breakfast sandwich. And try the caramel latte, as 10% of proceeds from that drink will go to the Foundation for Lincoln Public Schools. 4 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Seward. Bagels and Joe.
Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Homeowners, is your yard in distress? Is your lawn being held hostage by stubborn and unruly weeds? Never fear, lawn lovers. Weedman is here. We'll rescue your lawn and restore its beautiful emerald green glory. The results of our expertly applied program are sure to impress the toughest of critics, your neighbors. Take that, Dale. Vanquish weeds and transform your lawn this year with Weedman Lawn Care. Get 50% off your first application. Go to weedman.com today. Terms and conditions apply. Go to weedman.com today.
It's officially one of the greatest weeks of the year on the sports calendar, Masters Week. Book your tee time today with friends, family, or coworkers at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street. Doors open at 10 a.m. from Thursday to Sunday, and they'll have food directly from Augusta National, like pimento cheese sandwiches, Georgia pecan caramel popcorn, and lots more, plus specialty drinks to get you in the mood for the greatest golf tournament in the world. Book a bay today at doubleeagle.golf.
School tells you all about the 4 seasons. Spring, summer, and so on. And then there's a way we really tell what time of year it is. Sports seasons, football season, baseball season, or even off season. Well, what's the chocolate season? Well, it's now, of course. And now, and always. Whether you're looking for a caffeinated pick-me-up on the way to work, a little snack on the way home, or you need the perfect gift that's sure to be appreciated. It's time for the chocolate season, y'all. 40th and Old Cheney, or order ahead at thechocolatseason.com. See you there.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Bleicher and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
It's the best time of the year to order a new John Deere sprayer during Landmark Implement's Fast Start Early Order program. Leverage the industry's latest technology with See and Spray to target weeds in season in corn and soybeans and use less herbicide per acre. Utilize Exact Apply to save in chemical usage and prevent over-application. Now is the time to lock in the best price of the year during Landmark Implement's Fast Start Early Order program. Contact your local Landmark location for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
Attention all Wings fans. 89-cent wings are back on Tuesdays at Buffalo Wings and Rings in Lincoln. Enjoy the best wings in town for boneless or traditional at a price that makes the whole family happy. And now at the Williamsburg Village Wings and Rings, you can enjoy $1.50 tall boys in Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light, and Michelob Ultra every day after 7 p.m. and all day on Sundays. Get to Wings and Rings today and make sure to stop by on Tuesdays for 89-cent wings.
Not many businesses can say they've made it 60 years, but Madsen's Bowling and Billiards can. With 12 bowling lanes and the biggest pool room in Nebraska, where else would you go to enjoy an afternoon or evening? There's a great daily specials like $2 Tuesdays, games of bowling, shoe rentals, draft beers, and tacos, all just $2 each. Have a delicious burger at EJ's Lounge before or after your bowling or pool session, and you'll leave satisfied. Madsen's Bowling and Billiards at 47th and Dudley.
You're listening to the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Adam Carriker on The Ticket. All right, so we have an interview scheduled with Bear Tenney. I completely said his name wrong earlier, so I do apologize. But Bear Tenney, all right, he's not answering his phone. He's been uber responsive, so hopefully we'll get him on before the hour ends today. If not, if there's been some sort of miscommunication, maybe the time zone thing, I don't know. We'll see if we can get him on next week. But I know he was looking forward to coming on, so we'll see if he calls in or we'll try to bring him on in the future. All right, Jake, my man, who are some of the guys that you think could be potential surprise players in the spring game tomorrow? And then I got a follow-up question to that. Who are some of the guys that are kind of on your mind?
Well, we've heard a few things from, obviously, from camp, and I think there's just a couple names on defense. That defense wants to go from, top 15, top 20 defense in the country to number one. And to do so, I think they're going to need some of that depth to step up. I think Chief Borders has been mentioned as a guy who's most improved. Vincent Shavers and Mario Buford, some younger guys that are expected to not redshirt and help right away. But Bly Hill specifically, I mean, if he's a JUCO coming in and expected at this point, Matt Rule said it the other day, would probably be a starter along with Tommy Hill outside of there at the corner. So we talk about some depth with some of the younger guys, but that guy specifically could be one of the starting black shirts next year for Nebraska, who's aiming to be the number one defense in the nation. And to do so, the Big Ten, this isn't the Big Ten West. They're going to have some passing quarterbacks they're going to have to face. Shedeur Sanders is going to probably be hearing his name on draft night and similar, first round next year. So they're going to need some guys to step up at corner.
The pass defense last year was something we needed to improve on going into this year. And then I remember doing a show back in January. And one of the big question marks that I had on defense, there aren't a ton, but one of them was the cornerbacks. Now we got Tommy, we got Bly, you got Hartzog getting reps at safety. So do we have much depth at corner? We got a lot of guys coming back, a lot of young guys that are back from a year ago. But the question for me is not just the starters, but it's also the depth. Guys get banged up, guys get hurt, guys missed a game here or there. What if you got a couple of guys in the secondary banged up going into the Colorado game? Now it's the second game of the year, probably not. But what about Ohio State or something like that, which is going to be tough regardless? But what if you get guys banged up throughout the year? Do we have depth? I want to see some of the younger guys who step up. We have an idea of who the starters are going to be, at least at this point, at corner. You got Bly Hill, Tommy Hill, etc. Who are some of the other guys going to step up? How does Bly Hill look? There's a reason there's not many 6'3" corners. That's hard to have that type of movement and agility and fluidity to stay and keep up with the guy who knows where he's going and you're reacting to where he's going. So I'm curious to see how he does with that. I love the length. I love the height. I love everything. Okay, but that's what I'm curious to see. It's almost like Hartzog at 5'9" should flip with Bly Hill, but obviously they're where they're at for a reason. So I kind of want to watch those things. Stephon Thompson, where's he at? How's he doing now? Okay, how does he look? He was the guy, myself included, when he signed, it was like, all right, this is a guy who can be an immediate impact player for us on defense. We need someone to step up as a linebacker. This could be the dude. He started for Tony White. He's played in the 3-3-5 system for 3-4 years. Where's he at now? Now, the rumors are he's not quite where folks had hoped he would be. It's not a slight. Hey, if you're not where you want to be, get to where you want to be. Don't worry about if people are talking about you're not there yet. Focus on it, do it, get better. Those are my thoughts. Offensively, it's interesting because everyone wants to go the quarterbacks. That's why we started out there. That's going to be the most talked about thing this entire offseason. And there's a reason for it. Okay, you got the most highly recruited player in the history of Nebraska football. You got true freshmen battling it out. You got people that someone loved, which is Heinrich Harburg, an in-state kid, okay, trying to earn this job. The quarterback position always gets too much kudos for wins and too much blame for the loss. It's just the nature of the beast. But beyond that, it's interesting. DP was talking about the O-line. I'm actually curious at the O-line because Micah Mazuka. This is another guy we were kind of thought he was kind of a plug-and-play start guy. He started at 2 other Power 5 schools. Baylor, graded as one of the best run-blocking offensive linemen in the entire Big 12 conference when he was there. Then he goes to Florida, the SEC he starts. And yes, Florida's kind of imploding right now, but he started at multiple other Power 5 schools. Oh, comes here. He's probably going to be a guy that they're going to plug and start. We don't know if that's the case right now. So how does Mazuka look? How does Henry Letufsky look? Okay. The offensive tackles are something I'm going to watch. We've got to be able to protect. DP talked about it. Other people have talked about it. You got to be able to protect any quarterback, but especially a young quarterback. You talk about the speed of the game, and you talk about different blitzes and zone blitzes and man blitzes. Now they're dropping. Now they're not. Now you got D linemen dropping. Now they're rushing, but the backer's dropping. Now they look like they're going to blitz cover 0 and they blitz 3. All of a sudden they drop back into cover 8. Oh, it's only a 3-man rush. By the way, you've got the world watching. You've got social media analyzing. You got gifts waiting. It's a lot of pressure. Boom, I'm 18 years old. Technically right now, 2 of those guys could be in high school at the moment in the quarterback room. So those are things to watch. But if the offensive line can give them time, it'll literally slow down the game for them because they'll have more time to pass. So I want to know how the offensive tackles are going to do. How do they do on one-on-one pass rushes? You got Letufsky inside. How does Mazuka look? Okay. I look at a guy. Okay. Where'd he go? I'm looking at my sheet here and I can't find his name. Maybe I'll find it here in a second. Oh, where did he go? He completely disappeared. That's all right. Who's the offensive lineman who's playing guard and center? Jake, can you think of him?
Justin
Evans Jenkins.
Yeah,
there
yeah,
we go. I couldn't think of his name and he's not on my sheet for some reason. My bad on bad note taking. It's like school all over again. But I want to see how he does, not just at guard, but at center. What if Scott goes down? Who's going to step up? Who can fill in? So for me, we don't have a whole lot of depth at center. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a starting guard swinging over.
Yeah.
So if Scott goes down, how's he look at center? So I'm looking at the quarterbacks. I'm looking at those spots on the defense, and then I'm looking up front. We've got a lot of talent at wide receiver. We've got guys with size. We got guys with speed. How do they gel? But if we don't have time for the quarterbacks to throw the ball, it doesn't matter. Okay. So for me, those are kind of the things I'm watching, the things that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. You got any other thoughts there, Jake?
Well, just to kind of piggyback off what you're saying is that front line. I mean, we talked so much, for years about position players and this guy not having enough help, but for a long time, Nebraska just hasn't had the lines really to compete in the Big Ten, and that's offense and defense. So, late Bo Pelini, they had some really good defensive lines, but other than that, it hasn't been up to par. And you talk about top end talent, maybe they're there, maybe they're not, but the depth is very impressive on the offensive line as far as, you mentioned Henry Latovsky, Tyler Knack, Prohaska, Roquan Buckley moving over there. There's a lot of guys that are going to be competing for those positions. But the defensive line, I know some of them are seniors, and so it'll move on pretty quickly. But I mean, Ty Robinson, Nash Hutmacher, Jamari Butler, Cameron Linhart, Riley Van Poppel, James Williams, Prince Willem, and Malin. I mean, this is that's the type of depth where you can rotate those guys in, and they don't have to necessarily get tired. I mean, you can bring fresh groups out there. I know you did an interview with Jared Crick. He's very happy, excited about James Williams, and kind of mentioned that kind of almost hockey-like rotation system that they could have up front. So in this spring game specifically, it's, you can split up those teams and still have enough guys that you could say, you know what, these guys could be starters. And so, I don't know how they're going to necessarily split it up, but that's going to be a great battle along the offensive front. Now, I did want to ask you this too, because I found it kind of interesting. Matt Rule says, we know we can run. We're going to air it out a little bit. They were one of the top rushing offenses in the Big Ten. Completely, you're taking the quarterback running game almost out of it if you're taking Heinrich Haarberg off the field. They had one running back last year get to 100 yards rushing, and that's Anthony Grant in one game, and he's gone. So I thought that comment was a little bit interesting. So we know we can run. And I'm sitting back going, do we?
So it's a fair point. DP made the same point. You've made that point. And actually, when he first said it early on in spring ball, I had the same exact reaction. And to be clear, I still agree with what you've said, what DP said, what I said before. It's not changed. We have to be able to run the ball first. We can't abandon that. And I'm not saying they're abandoning it. What I'm saying is you have to be able to run the ball to help a young quarterback, to be consistent. It's a tale as old as time. If you can run the ball and you can stop the run, you're going to win football games. Okay. Like I said earlier, the Danny Werfels and the Steve Spurrier type offenses, they're fun to watch. How many other teams that have been built like that outside of 96 Florida, we already kind of took a jab at 95 Florida, outside of 96 Florida have won national titles? Can you think of one?
They air it out that much? Not without a ground game to back it up, I don't think.
The only one I can even remotely think of is 84 BYU. And there's low-hanging fruit. They beat a 6-5 Michigan team in the Holiday Bowl. They didn't really beat a good team. They beat a name and a brand, and they weren't a Power 5 school at the time. Not that those things were around back then, at least not in name like we call them now. And a lot of people think that, honestly, along with 1990 Georgia Tech, are the two weakest national champions of all time, but that's a topic for another day. My point is, I agree, you've got to run the ball. I think where Matt Rule's coming from is they were so bad at passing the ball last year. He's like, and when I said got to be able to execute a forward pass, I mean that respectfully, kind of. When I said that earlier, that's why I said it. We look like we had a hard time just executing a forward pass. I'm not trying to take jabs at the past. This is my honest opinion. It is what it is, and I'm not alone in this. The pass game was not good, to put it nicely, okay? And it really hindered everything on offense. The fact that the defense played as well as it did with the tough positions it was put in, the amount of turnovers and gifts that our offense gave to opposing defenses, and our defense still played really well. You think back to that Colorado game. Everyone thinks about the second half. Everyone thinks about the final score. With 7 minutes to go in the first half, it was 0-0. And we had multiple drives where we were actually moving the ball. We got down to Colorado's 30-yard line twice and could have taken the lead both times. And I forget exactly which was when or when was which, but we had a missed handoff. We had another drive, a guy go in motion, ball hits the guy in motion, and we lost those drives. And then all of Colorado's 13 points in the first half came in the final 7 minutes off 3 Nebraska turnovers that gave Colorado the ball inside our 50. And our defense held them to 2 field goals and a touchdown. And it was only 13-0 at halftime. When it could have been, we could have had the lead. We could have had a 10 to 14 point lead, or we could have been down 21-0 if the defense doesn't hold them to field goals. So the offense has just got to be able to execute the basic little things. Okay. They've got to be able to execute a basic passing game and run the ball as well. We don't have to reinvent or revolutionize the offensive side of the ball. We just got to be able to do basic little things, run the ball, take care of the ball. I don't know if you've ever heard this. Run the ball, take care of the ball, don't turn the ball over, and play good defense wins football games. If we literally just do that, we're probably 7-5 last year. And we're easily, because this is a better team this year. Now, whether we get more wins or losses, we'll see. Better teams don't always win. What was it? Was it 2015 Ohio State? I heard Urban Meyer talking about it on a podcast the other day. They lost to Michigan State. It was right after it was 2015. They won the national title in 14. Urban Meyer said 2015 was the better team. They got upset at home by Michigan State, and then they lost another game down the road, maybe even the bowl game. But he's like, that team was significantly better, but we didn't do things better. So this is a better football team that Nebraska has. Will they do things better to win more games? Because that's all that matters. All right, he's giving me the break sign. I assume when you go like this to break something, it means the break sign.
That's right.
All right, we're going to continue to see if we can bring Bear Tenney on today. If not, he'll be on at some point in the future. He's been uber responsive. Looking forward to chatting with him. If not, you're stuck with us. I do apologize. Hopefully it's not too terrible to listen to us. Hopefully you're having some fun, and we will continue to break down what you can look for at the spring game.
Where will take you, traveler, to seek fortune in a new career, or on a journey to distant lands for a well-deserved vacation? Wherever you go, one distraction could spell disaster. You can change your fate, adventurer. Don't drive distracted. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
If you're a homeowner or a business owner, you have a lot of projects, and no one has an unlimited budget or time. Sunbelt Rentals makes all jobs less stressful with no need to purchase large equipment or hire a crew. You can do it yourself with rentals and everything from aerators and power rakes for spring yard work to stump grinders, concrete mixers, tile saws, and more. Check out their inventory in Lincoln, north of Cornhusker Highway on 56th Street, or online at sunbeltrentals.com.
Hey, Husker Nation, Matt Davison here with 1890. It's an exciting time to be a Husker fan, and to keep that momentum going, we need your help. Nebraska's always been a leader in college athletics, and we're doing the same through name, image, and likeness. NIL is a unique opportunity for every Husker fan to have a direct impact on the success of our programs. Through 1890, 100% of your contribution goes to the student athletes. So go to 1890nebraska.com, choose your sport, become a member, and help the Huskers recruit and retain the best. Go Big Red.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
If the week's been too hectic to even think about dinner, or your family can't handle one more night of leftovers, then it's time to let Hog Wild do the cooking. Hog Wild's family packs are one heck of a good deal for a complete barbecue meal loaded with all the smoked meats, tasty sides, buns, and sauces you need to feed your family. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
The need in our community, if you just look at the numbers, it's frightening. We're serving over 1,000 kids every day. With the passion of our people, I really feel like our potential to be of even greater service to kids and families who are struggling is just unlimited. But in order to have the greatest impact, we need all the help we can get from the community.
NEBCO is hiring CDL drivers for ready-mixed concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. NEBCO offers great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and they pay for CDL training. Apply today and start your new career with a $2,500 hiring bonus. From NEBCO's beginning in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
Sandhills Global is hiring. With their fast-paced, growing culture, they have hundreds of new openings in sales, marketing, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Full-time roles offer a 4.5-day work week, along with flexible internships in most areas. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Find your fit today at www.sandhills.jobs.
This is Coach Bill Bush. You all know my passion for Nebraska. Having coached all over the country, I can honestly say there is no place like Nebraska. You know where there's also no place like? Midwest Bank. Midwest Bank has proudly served Nebraska for over 70 years, and they're located in 9 different communities. Midwest Bank is ready, willing, and able to meet all your personal, business, and agriculture needs. Your community, your bank, and mine, Midwest Bank. Find out more at Midwest Bank. Member FDIC.
Your business runs like a well-oiled machine. It's important that your actual machines do too. Stern is here to make sure you don't have to worry about that. They provide solutions for heavy equipment and automotive fuels, lubricants, and equipment guard options. And with Stern's commitment to customer service for the past 40 years, you know you have a partner to help support your operations for years to come. Contact Roger at Stern Company by calling 1-800-477-2744 or visit them online at stern.co. Stern Company, where problems meet solvers.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with only 4 Lincoln locations. Guess what?
What?
There's 5 Lincoln locations now. Oh my gosh. That's 25% more Lincoln locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? Feels like ages ago. We were all so young then.
You're listening to the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Adam Carriker on The Ticket. Been in studio today, been looking forward to it for a while. DP joined me up the top of the hour. My man Jake's been here the entire time. We've talked pro wrestling, Nebraska quarterbacks, because that hasn't been talked about at all over the past few months, and potential surprise players who to keep your eye on in the spring game tomorrow, where they will indeed play tackle football outside of the 3 guys wearing green jerseys. My man Rico's going to be joining me and Jake right here, right now. Rico, quarterbacks, green jerseys, thoughts, go.
I really want Heinrich Harburg to not be in a green jersey because he's pretty much a linebacker that's playing quarterback, and I want to see him take some contact. Raiola and Kalen, no contact for the true freshman.
So favoritism.
Yes, extreme.
Hey, he owns it. If he owns it, what can you say?
Extreme favoritism. The guy, he's not a bowling ball because he's tall. He's just a massive human being. And I, he was taking contact last year to see if he can still take the contact, see if he's still running through people. I'm sure he is, but that's like a part of his game. Like that's his game.
It's a superpower, as Marcus.
That's his game, is lowering his shoulder and running through people. So you take that away, then it's just like, okay, he's just running. He's fast, right? But he's not the fastest. He's the fastest quarterback probably in the room right now, but he's not the fastest quarterback. So that's part of his game also, is like, I'm not going to run past you, but I will run through you. So you take that away, and then it's just like, unless his passing has improved exponentially from last year where it was suspect, to say the least. Again, he's running through people.
So it's kind of like, and I can say this because I was a big kid. My son Jacob is a big kid. It's like a big kid playing flag football. It doesn't necessarily fit your game or your skill set, which is why I actually put Jacob into tackle football much later than he wanted to, but much earlier than I had planned on him doing it. Mm-hmm. He started asking in 1st grade. I let him do it in 4th grade. I wasn't going to have him do it till 6th grade because I wasn't allowed to do it till 7th grade. So it's kind of similar to Harburg. I see what you're saying. The pushback could be, well, he got hurt and banged up last year. Don't we want to protect him? But I actually agree with you. What I will say, the thing I do like about it, and I'm not trying to make this an ordeal. Oh, they should not have green jerseys on. No, that's the coach's decision. This is just a fun conversation from a guy who used to hate the guys who wore green jerseys because I wanted to knock the crap out of them.
Of course.
It wasn't personal. It was just football fun, and I wasn't allowed to have it when they had the green jerseys on. So this is a fun little debate. Okay. So with Harburg, though, because what it forced my son Jacob to do in flag football, it forced him to work on certain skills that translated later as far as route running, catching, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. And now he's a better player in space with the pads on as a result. When it comes to Harburg, it's going to force him to do things he wouldn't normally do. Maybe he'll be more likely to stay in the pocket and throw the ball rather than take off and run, which during the season, phenomenal, great, go ahead and do it. But we know he can do that. Mm-hmm. This is going to force him to work on things he may not otherwise be inclined to work on. So while I personally nobody would ever wear a green jersey in the spring game. It would always be tackle football. It would always be a 1s versus 1s, 2s versus 2, and that's how I would do it. I'm also not a head coach, and I probably never will be, but that's okay.
Would it make sense, you have the green jerseys, to not get hit in the pocket, but if you take off, as long as you're not killing them, fair game?
Well, you said the words "not kill them." That's like poison to my ears. I want to kill them all the time.
I know.
No, I know what you're saying, because when they're in the pocket, they're a lot more susceptible.
Yeah, like a blind
hits,
side, like you don't want to do that. But like if they leave your pocket, like tackle them.
That I actually would like that a lot, because then you can see their mentality. Are they a guy who's going to slide, going to run somebody over, run out of bounds? When I first got to St. Louis,
and I mean that would help you work on your form tackling as opposed to just lowering your shoulder.
It would
like tackle them. Don't destroy them.
Yeah. When I first got to St. Louis, like Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Orlando Pace, all the guys were still there, but they were towards the tail end of their careers. I will never, ever forget this. I had so much to learn. I still do. Torrey would get the ball in a game. He'd slide. A freaking receiver, not a quarterback. Isaac would get the ball. He'd get as many yards as he could, and then he'd slide or he'd run out of bounds. And in my mind, they were the biggest wusses I'd ever seen, because I didn't know any better. I didn't understand why Isaac had been around for 14 years. I didn't understand certain things. So coming back to the green jerseys and being smart with the quarterbacks, and the point you're making, maybe in the pocket, protect them, but if they run, maybe they can lower their shoulder. Sometimes discretion is the better part of valor. That's never been my mentality. I'm also walking around 11 surgeries later with one more pending. But that's just me. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Rico, Jake?
Well, I think you want that sort of toughness in your program, right? But like you said, it makes some sense at times to live to play another down. So I think it kind of depends on the situation. It is weird to hear you say that from a wide receiver, though. I mean, when you're thinking about being toward the sticks or toward the sideline, that's something that'll a lot of older fans, especially Husker football, you watch the option offense. There was just this kind of toughness that was in the offense. And then, of course, when the receivers did get the ball, that was like their 1 or 2 times during the day, day that they were going to get it. So they're going to try to make the most of it. I like to see the fight, but I understand. I mean, it's hard to argue with a guy like Isaac Bruce, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. No, I understand it. I'm just saying these things because I want to see people get hit.
Me too.
But I completely understand not wanting to put any of your players in danger, any of your as Matt Rule was saying, after the games, the quarterback and the head coach get all of the questions pretty much. They're not talking to the defensive lineman or the offensive line. They're talking to those two because they get all that. I mean, they should talk to the defensive lineman more. The defensive lineman, they should talk to the defense as a whole more.
Yes.
But those guys, the quarterback and the head coach, get the blame, the glory, all of that. So to not see those guys get hurt, not see those quarterbacks get hurt, not put them in harm's way is the smarter way to go about it.
Oh, I agree. And again, this was just a fun topic of conversation because
I do want to see Heinrich hit somebody, though.
I do. I'm with you. Just give him one play. Yeah. All right, last play. We're going to take it off. One snap Oklahoma drill. You and Vincent Shavers. I don't know. Just pick a guy.
Have fun.
Yeah. No, I think that would be great. Look, the game of football as a whole is changing. Okay. And I've always said there's a facade and a mirage is more of a business acumen ploy to try to save the game. But player safety is what I'm talking about, and the mirage behind it, especially when it comes to the NFL. But as an overall whole, they're changing rules. They got rid of the wedge and the wedge buster, and you can't hit the quarterbacks high, low, middle, or basically touch them in general at any point in time in any game. What are your thoughts on where the game of football is going? And keep in mind, the governor of California, for the second time, is trying to outlaw tackle football in California.
Oof. Oh, really?
I just heard on a podcast yesterday. It's on the internet, so it must be true.
I mean, that's what I believe. Twitter has never lied to me.
Well, it's not Twitter. It actually is a reputable podcast. Coach JB, BJ, I forget which one it is. But Matt McChesney, former Colorado player, was on it, which is why I was listening to it, and they were talking about it. And Matt he ain't going to blow smoke. So he's as real as he gets. So I believe it to be true. So what are your thoughts on all that?
The game of football as a whole is changing. The more that they find out, the more that they found out about head injuries and injuries as a whole, the game of football has been changing. And I don't know if it's in terms of head injuries, it's for the better. In terms of long-term, brain damage, it's for the better. But you've seen a lot more lately in these few years. You're not hitting them high, you're hitting them low. A lot more knee injuries, a lot more ankle injuries, a lot more, hips and just lower leg injuries coming. And those are a few of those have been career enders. So although you're keeping your brain intact, you're keeping your head and your neck safe, which is great. People are still losing their careers over leg injuries. So it's gotten better, and now to a point where it's just favoring the offense so much that it's damn near impossible to play defense. You've heard that from multiple defensive players in the NFL and in the collegiate ranks. So there has to be a middle ground somewhere. I don't know where that is. I don't know when they'll hit it, but there has to be somewhere in there where you can keep the physicality of football while also being safe about it.
I think for me, because there is a concern when it comes to playing football, and it is a physical, violent game. I think my first thing is, if you don't want it, don't play football. Okay. But my other thing is, like, if you're just going to cause more knee injuries, is that rule really better? If you're going to literally change the entire game, like kickoff returns are essentially dead. I'm watching guys not even catch it. They're standing at the 10-yard line. It goes over their head. They go like this, and we get the ball at the 25. Devin Hester never would have been in today's football. He never would have been the most electrifying returner in the history of football. Would have never happened in today's day and age. So for me, I think there's got to be an understanding of, if I'm going to play football, this is what it is. There's also got to be a way to protect people, because we're constantly evolving. I remember when drinking water in practice was weakness, and then people died. So maybe water isn't so bad. So there has to be a logical progression. We don't do two-a-days anymore. Okay. Like it used to be two-a-days every day when I first got to Nebraska. Then I went to 2-1, 2-1. And admittedly, that was worse, because when we did two-a-days every day, we went Monday through Saturday, Sunday was off. When we went 2-1, 2-1, there was no day off. I counted. We had 24 straight days of 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. And that was worse.
Oof.
And then they eventually changed it to where you had to have the day off every 8 or 9 or 10 days. And I don't even know what it is now.
Like, this might not be a good idea.
Yeah, I was like, this is worse, guys. Like, this is not better. So my point is, there's got to be a logical progression and improvement for the game, but you can't literally alter and change the game so that people don't want to watch it anymore. Like, I think what makes me the most mad, I used to be a quarterback in high school. Okay. I didn't even play defense in high school to my senior year. Like, I was going to go play college ball as a quarterback or be a pitcher in baseball. Okay. That's what it was. I watched the NFL today, and I watched defensive linemen tackle the quarterback, 15-yard penalty. Not high, not low. Didn't even hit him that hard. Just tackle, and it's a penalty. That's what gets my goat, so to speak, a little bit.
When you wonder if they're going to, you think about certain parts of that, is maybe the quarterback is going to be basically a flag or a touch at some point, 10, 15 years down the line. And then the other thing is, I wonder with the UFL, with college football going up against the NFL, which is king, it's going to be hard to stop. But college football is going more and more towards looking like the NFL.
Yep.
The no timeouts after first downs, 2-minute warnings, all that stuff. Well, the NFL is going to the XFL kickoff this year, maybe to try to keep some of your traditional hard-hitting football fans involved. The UFL or college football should not adopt that rule and have your kind of traditional football game aboard so that they can get it going. But again, how long does that last until lawsuits start coming in? The NFL does it better, but it's all just a mirage again, because you're expanding college football playoffs, you're expanding the NFL playoffs, you expand the NFL regular season, you don't have the best fields out there, and yet, so they pick and choose where they want to protect the players.
They're even going to two major conferences, essentially, the Big Ten and SEC.
Yeah.
College football is the NFL. I know we got to get rolling. I can see Rico looking at his watch, not so subtly, but
I was just looking at the time. I didn't know what time it was. I wasn't trying to get you out of here. I was just like, I wonder what time it is.
Oh, man. My final thought, my question, actually, for you guys, because I've not seen it. I don't know if you guys have. And I know we did it last year's spring game, but the XFL kickoff and kickoff return, does that actually allow for exciting returns? Is that actually worth doing? I know the NFL's doing it, but do you guys actually like it?
The XFL returns?
Yeah.
I think they're pretty fun. They look pretty interesting.
Do you actually get more returns rather than fair
You do
catches
get more returns.
That's all I'm looking for.
But in terms of it will be harder for them to end up in touchdowns, but that's what's going to make it more interesting.
Yeah, just a quick programming update. Bear Tenney is on the line, so we can take a quick break and maybe get to him if you have time to stick around.
I have time if you guys are good with it.
I'll let you lead off the happy hour with Bear Tenney.
All right, let's do it.
All right, there we go. We'll be right back with new Husker commit Bear Tenney next on 93.7 The Ticket.
Community means something different to everyone. But for me, it means cheering on those around you during the good times and